Technicality for everybody. This is a new process where all participants, particularly our councillors and advisors, that you do join the meeting online while you're in the room. We're going to be using the hand raising tool on Teams from now on, just to make it easier for everyone. So we can focus on people who are speaking rather than hands being waved wildly around, and everyone gets in line easily on Teams. Also, that will give you a chance to follow, for those of you that might have your back to a screen, the presentation, as well as for you also to, join in the small chats that happen there too. So, in saying that, I expect that everybody is going to be okay in logging into the Teams meeting.
Yeah, I haven't got it.
Let someone go and help them, please.
Yeah, and also the email that Jono sent you, the agenda, won't download here.
Okay.
Even though I downloaded it.
I'll do it this way. Yeah. You're off.
You printed it yourself.
You're like, I organize it.
All good. Yeah, we're going to.
Perfect. That's important. Thank you. Anybody else on this?
I'll be used to it.
I think I'm right.
Okay. Well, I don't think I should be hearing myself twice.
You need to mute yourself.
Hey. Right.
It looks like everybody is muted.
Yeah.
Hi, well done, Toto. Work out much better in the future. All right, well, tēnā pia me tū tātou ki te karakia. Kia tīmatai wā tātou nei. So let's all stand. And we'll go along with our karakia on page 5, as we usually do. Māori, would you care to lead us?
He ngoi tātou. Tēnei au, tēnā mātou. E kai kauni hea, e kāwenga, e paunga, tikanga, ki uta, ki tāu, ki reiwae, ki katoa, tai tōkara. Aumi e, hui e, tai.
No apologies, we are all in attendance, but perhaps now might be the best time for me to kia koutou ngā tipu, kia koutou ngā independent advisor. Haere ki tēnei tipu, tēnō miharo tēnei rā. Kia koutou. Tēnā koutou. Tēnā pia. If you would like to stand and introduce yourself just briefly, just for this first meeting. I know some of you may have already met some of us as well, but it's just a chance for you to say a few words. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Aku tai a mau anō. Tuku a tātou mihi kia koe a kauni hera. Tīmatai tātai ngā huinga, mārunga nā pena hawa. O mātou tūpuna, te pō mai rangi, ki te rongo rawa.
I got it.
E whakakahai a mātou whakaaro ki tēnei huinga. Tuarua kia koe te hea mana, tukuna atu. A te reo mihi kia mālo ki taia, ki noho tahi o tēnei whare. Hei hāwhai tia. A ngā moia ana i puti no te motu. Whanaunga i noho tahi nei. Tai tokera. Ka huni te kē o taku hoa nei. Te au nei, māko e tīmata nānei i motu. Engari rungi tēnā whakaaro, tēnā koutou, George Riley. Pleased to be here amongst you today. currently CEO in Te Rūnanga o Te Rarawa, and look forward to participating with the Regional Council for a multitude of reasons, not the least of which that we think that the work that you do is important to all of us and would like to contribute and help the overall mission of the Council. Kia ora mai.
Morena atu, kia ora mai nā tātou katoa, ngā mihi ka koutou me te hemana. Ko te Mofisana Hau, sitting here with my partner in crime, and I would say that because we're from Te Kuatika, same place as Peter is from, but proud to be here and to represent Tangata Whenua Advisory with our schools and activities. Kia ora.
Oh, ne haere tonu te mahi. So we'll move on to 4.0, declarations of conflicts of interest. There are none. Of course, you can also raise your conflicts as the items come up. So if there's no declarations, then we can move on to ngā miniti. Item 5.0. Would someone like to move?
Ai, māku tērā. Kia ora,
Yep.
ko Piro Lucas tēnei.
Joe seconding. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, that's carried. Next, the receipt of the action sheet. 5.2, page 14. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Amy and Jack?
Yeah.
Any discussion? Okay, if there's no discussion, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, that's carried. Next, moving on to 6.1, regional rates collection, page 16. Can I have a mover and a seconder?
Ai, māku tērā.
Lucas and Marty. Any discussion? Well, if there's no discussion, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, that's carried. Next item 6.2, financial report.
Yeah, I'll move that.
Rick will move it. Do we have a seconder?
Ai,
sec-
māku e ka toko.
Thank you. Any discussion? Oh,
We just have a comment on, yep, from Bruce, if that's all right. Simon's here.
yes. Would you like to
Bruce is
give
on.
some summary comments?
Thanks, Chair. I've got an update on our managed fund.
Hey.
We received the managed fund report on Friday for the month of September. And September is not typically a very good month on the markets, and it wasn't a particularly good month for us. We had a total loss for the month of September in the short-term fund of $57,402. And in the long-term fund, we had a loss of $1,068,587. So year to date, the total losses in short-term fund are $43,870, and total losses year to date in the long-term fund are $568,498. So year to date, we're $612,000 negative. We should be at 837,000. That's the budget. But if that trend continues, then capital would be used to offset that loss. Yeah, well, it's not very nice. Not very good time.
On that, just in response to you saying typically September is not a good month, and I suppose September before an election was even worse month. Do you get some sort of an idea to be able to do the curves of where it's going to dip and where it's going to raise to come back to the, to show the good months? Do you ever look at it that way?
It's really difficult to predict, but I don't know if our advisors wish to comment.
I think really, even though September can be, an awkward month globally because you get a lot of revaluations going on with global portfolios, but the trend over the last quarter hasn't been brilliant, and a lot of that has been to do with some of the events that have been occurring. that have put a lack of confidence in global equity markets, and that's the biggest part of what's been revaluing our portfolio. And that's not just resigned to the New Zealand stock market, that's global stock markets. In fact, there's only been one stock market that's actually reasonably up on the last quarter, so that's 3 months, and that's been the UK. So that's the big part of it, and of course there's been other areas that have been influencing, with the volatility of interest rates, that impacts on the bond portfolios and the revaluations of bond portfolios. So it really is a bit of a waiting game on this, and in the sense that if there is a global resetting, there doesn't appear to be anything in the horizon that's saying that we're going to be looking at a 2022 event, which is when markets tanked. What we're seeing is this clawback of markets getting used to the fact that interest rates are high, inflation is still sticky, and we've got a couple of new conflicts that are starting to add a bit more fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
Stuart, any other questions?
I just think it's fair to comment that we wouldn't, we've got nothing we can do can influence this, like this, and even nothing we can do nationally can influence. So the election would be minimal. I mean, be no different. So I just think it's got to, front up, man up, and bear it, and hopefully it'll improve. So that's all we can do. So thanks, guys, for your work. It's always hard to present negative stuff. So thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or remarks? No, thank you. Right. Well, on the receiving the report, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, that's carried. Thank you very much. Next item 7.1, 2024 meeting calendar. We'll take the 2 recommendations together. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Okay, that's Rick and John. Yes, quite straightforward. Unless we need some discussion on it. No. Yeah, all in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carry, thank you. All right, freshwater plan change consultation. Now we have 5 recommendations. We were to take them together.
Maybe just ask if Timmy can speak to them.
Of course, I'm going to actually ask, because please come forward. Thank you. I did note Bruce didn't, so that's fine.
We're first person in the hot seat.
Well done, Timmy. Well done.
Yes. You've been bold. I am going to expect some discussion from councillors, including those participating online too. So this is the moment that I'm going to need you to raise your hand via the Teams. Just a reminder. Thank you, Timmy.
Kia koutou. This paper is basically to seek your approval to undertake public consultation on the draft freshwater plan change. I feel quite privileged. I'm sitting in front of you guys after only being here for a month. It's obviously been a significant piece of work that you've been undertaking for the last 3 years and stuff, and obviously some really significant contributions that we've noted in there, particularly from the Tangata Whenua Water Advisory Group, the Primary Sector Liaison Group, and TTMAC Working Party as well. So you have in front of you, in terms of the documentation, what we're looking to seek approval to release, which is a copy of the track changes, the draft action plan, and supporting material, which includes a have you say summary document, a have you say discussion document on stock exclusion, a have you say discussion document on the targeted water allocation policy, and a short overview of compliant matters. And I'd just like to draw your attention to recommendation number 3 in particular. We have had a couple of pre-briefings with some stakeholders, and we'd like to recommend that instead of the closing date for submissions being the 16th of February, that we actually extend that to the 4th of March. That's in to allow us to turn up at important events, but also we had a bit of feedback about were we not being genuine because of actually having that period mainly over Christmas. So we thought it was reasonable to extend it to the 4th of March if you're in support as well. Otherwise, yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Now we just need a mover and a second on this as well. Jack and Amy. Thank you so much. Acknowledging all the work of the staff and Ruben and everybody and the support comms is giving. Jono.
Sorry, Chair, was that the move and second for the alterations?
This is for the
Three,
all recommendations together. Are we okay with?
including including the expansion date?
That recommendation recommended be changed if appropriate to the 4th of March, and that staff are authorised to update all the GOPS material to that date we've been working on.
Yeah, I'm happy to cover that.
Good.
Thank you, Chris.
Perfect.
Kevin, I'll email you the. Thank you.
No.
Thank you, through Chair Tammy. Well, welcome here, Tammy. Long time since we've seen you walking around Christchurch. Just let you know, we know where you've come from. Yeah, section 32 analysis. I understand case law is that section 32 analysis should be developed incrementally as policies develop.
Yep.
We haven't done that.
We haven't done the formal section 32, but certainly the material. Actually, I was quite impressed when I started the material that will be supporting in terms of a document around all the stuff that you've workshopped in terms of your council workshops, along with all the supporting documentation will be there 90% of the way until section 32. Section 32 just has some more layout differences, but you're well placed in terms of meeting those obligations under section 32.
Yeah. And considering alternative methods.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? Yeah.
And so I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank staff for the monumental effort it took to get this far, but also TWAG and to TMAC participants who put a huge amount of work into this, plus the consultants. I mean, this was a very much a team effort. It's probably the most monumental piece of work, and easily in the 4 years I've been a councillor, and it's probably going to be the biggest thing we'll do in perhaps 20 years in terms of its implications for the region, current and future. I think it sets out the options quite well, but the job isn't finished. We've obviously got to make sure that we get that discussion document out there with the right kind of wording, and that we really seek as much feedback as we possibly can, because this is going to be a big item for Norfolk. I mean, it sounds like a cliche, but it's worth repeating. This is pretty big. So anyway, thank you very everybody.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, if this is not going to be a debate by the looks of it, and it just is an expression of the good groundwork that we've all done together. So that's awesome. If there's no further questions or comments, then we'll go ahead on 7.2. The 5 recommendations, including the amendment for the extension of the consultation date, which Jono will be providing the wording for. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? That's carried. Well done.
Thank you, Timmy.
Well done. It's going to make you stroke everyone.
396.
I'll scroll like 900 pages.
No, jumping to 400 pages together.
396.
You can use your contents.
Yeah,
The
good.
bookmarks.
To go from
The
straight to it.
Yeah.
First time.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you need
Okay,
to-
so
Big tin can.
you right, John?
Oh, yeah,
We just, yeah,
it's just,
I opened a big tin can, but it's different.
Yeah.
Oh, 396.
Yeah.
You got
7.3.
yeah, 3.
Okay, we're all on the same page.
Yep.
So it is a request for delegation to submit on the proposed MPS on natural hazard decision making. We have the 4 recommendations there, including that councillors McDonald and Core are appointed to approve the submission. Can I have a mover and a seconder?
Kia ora, I'm happy to move. Tēnā koe te hea mana.
I will second. Do we need to have a discussion on this, or we're all pretty straightforward?
Pretty straightforward.
So,
What's that, Jack?
I just wanted to know how staff are getting on with the document itself, because it probably sounded quite a bit.
any kōrero, Justin or Terry?
Not as yet, although we have embarked on it. The climate change and hazards team are leading the drafting. We want to get some roundtable discussion with the sector before finalising that. But as you note in the paper, a draft will be circulated to all elected members Friday. Delegated.
Thanks, Justin. All right. If there's no further discussion, all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? It's carried. Next we have 7.4. Rick's going to move. 3 recommendations together. Who's going to second that?
Oh,
you.
I'm going to talk to it. so.
Okay, I'll second it. You talk to it, Rick.
So, Chair, I just want to 600 residential lots. So how, like we've talked a lot about sewage, how is this affect? Because these aren't septics, are they? They're going into the present Mangawhai wastewater scheme. Is that right? No? Anybody?
Ingrid online.
Do they?
Will help in terms of the detail around it. Unless you can
Hi. Kia ora team, I'm online here.
So, wait a minute.
You look on your, she's also on your computer in front of you, Rick.
Wait a minute.
Did you hear the question, Ingrid?
Just about the septic. I think there is one of the issues with it, and the matter that we raised in the submission, is there is some considerable doubt whether they will be able to connect to the existing Mangawhai treatment station. At the moment, my understanding is it's quite near to capacity, but they, over the next several years, they have got planning in place to upgrade it and to add additional connections. But it's as this is a plan change and not a development, it's unclear at what stage, when this plan change had occurred, at what stage they'll be developing those lots and whether at that point there will be connections available. So one of the matters we've raised in the submission is that if they don't have the ability to connect to the council wastewater treatment plant, that they would need to have a minimum lot size that could accommodate septic tank disposal.
Right, thank you. Sorry, I should have picked that up.
Jack?
Yeah, thank you, Ingrid. Does this submission also, I did read it, but I can't remember. Did we also make suggestions about alternative septic treatment, as in composting toilets?
No,
They're a feature of many European cities these days. So, and we know that, I mean, Mangawhai is like it's a slow train coming. They've got, Piper's got huge debt caused by the cost overruns. And now they that capacity, so they may have to add on. If they add on, can they afford it? Do we need to save them from themselves?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a high level question. To some extent, that is there in a way they could say that's their knitting and we should stick to ours. That we raise the issue that we feel it's important that they need to appropriately address this, but getting into the detail of composting toilets is probably overstepping our abilities. I don't know if you'd have anything further on that, Justin, but I'm thinking that's possibly going a little far. It's perfectly, and we're right to raise the issues, but to get into the detail is, yeah, I think that might be taking it a bit far.
And if I may, Chair, just add to that, there's nothing stopping owners of the lots putting in a composting system at all. If they'd rather not do on-site traditional disposal to land, it's always there. There's no rules against it. We're just concerned that the lot size is adequate for the disposal area and a reserve in the event of failure. And the other issue in the submission is around water supply, because there is no regulated supply there. So that's two key points: on-site rainwater collection, at least 50,000 per lot, biggest it is, and the adequate disposal. And they shouldn't be able to go down to a lot size that fits on-site system. Those are key points raised.
An easy answer.
We can expand on that at a hearing once if this matter go to a hearing. It would like to do to it.
Thank you, just an additional question. Is this sandy soil?
Ingrid probably knows better, but I don't. Some parts of it maybe. There's a little subject.
I think so.
Yeah, I couldn't answer that for certain. There is a very small part that's identified as highly productive land, so I would imagine that bit definitely isn't sandy. The remainder is largely in grass and pastoral farming at the moment, so I couldn't answer that definitively, but certainly at the time that they came to develop these lots, engineers would consider the soil type. There'd be soakage tests required, and they would take that into account when designing the systems that they would be appropriate for the soil type and the soakage capacities.
So you're confident that we will be able to raise or be satisfied that any issue of leaching from in-ground septic services can be addressed?
At this stage, we're raising the issue as something for them to consider. The difficulty is at the plan change stage, we don't know what they're proposing. It's turning it from rural to residential zoning with some suggested lot sizes, development potential, but it's very much up in the air, and the nitty gritty of that detail comes more at the stage when they actually come to develop it. By putting in a submission raising this as an issue, it certainly gives us the ability, if we wanted to take it further, to speak at that hearing and raise it with direction from yourselves or from staff, that we raise that firmly in the hearing, that this is a concern for Northland Regional Council, that we want this matter appropriately addressed.
Thank you, I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
It worked. Yeah, I used to have a portfolio for Mangawai sewage system, and I know the area quite well. Grandmother used to own about a quarter of the camping ground in the early 1950s, I believe. Yeah, there is a lot of issues at Mangawai, and there's a lot of resentment for the rest of Mangawai who's still paying half the interest rate for the current sewage system. It also is on the boundary of Auckland, so there was options that could have been. They bought a farm that was a limestone base, which is not a great farm for effluent disposal, very wet country. And you're right against the Auckland Council, so a lot of limitations. There is other things that happened too in the past that if you did have a very good wastewater system, you had to join us. You had to join up to the current system. So then why would you change that rule now? So yeah, going forward, there's a lot of issues facing Mangawai that other areas are not keen to take part in. And yeah, I can't see Mangawai's growing quicker than any part of any other part of it. It's no problem at all. It needs to be addressed.
Thank you, John. Kia ora. Councillor Joe.
Oh, no, I didn't raise an issue. I think the resource consent process for the subdivision is going to really tear this apart, these aspects, and we'd wait for staff to cover it all by support.
Good. If there's no further discussion, we'll go ahead on these three recommendations. So all in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, that's carried. Also noting that we have notified that Kawati's not available today to interpret. So we'll just note that too, because we had a little bit of veil in the beginning. That's fine. Moving on to 7.5, Biodiversity Credit System Council submission.
And as the councillors mentioned, are happy to take on the role. I'm happy to move it.
Okay, Marty and Jack.
Thank you.
And John and Jeff.
Excuse me?
4 of them.
I just need 2 people, a mover and a second now, I'm just being clear.
Well, I was just asking if the 4 councillors are happy to be members, then I'm happy to move.
Oh yeah, we won't have Jack, sorry, not Jack second, then we'll have Rick, thank you.
Yep.
Any discussion?
I'd just like to congratulate Mr. Griffin for a fantastic report. I think it takes a really high level view and leaves us the flexibility to make whatever additional suggestions we need to make. So I'd like to congratulate staff for this report. Thank you.
James, it's online.
He's online, smiling.
James is online.
Yep.
Thank you, James. Yes, I want to reiterate what Jack has said, and of course we don't really know politically what is on the horizon for the biodiversity credit systems, but we'll haere tonu on our role, and particularly around biodiversity management. So if there's no further discussion, I'll hit on these 3 recommendations, moved by Marty and seconded by Rick. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? That's carried. Thank you. Next, number 8, we're coming into operational reports. 8.1, health and safety. Bruce, is that you? Hands on. Will you stick to that, Bruce?
If there's any questions, Chair, have to answer.
Oh, yeah, usually there is, aroha mai, but would someone like to move it? Amy, seconding, Rick. Are there any questions or comments? If not, we can haere tonu. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? That's carried. Next report is the house. Oh, sorry, 8.2, Chair's report. I will move that.
Second it.
Thank
I'm
you.
happy to. Oh, kia ora.
As you can see, changing up the format a little bit, putting a little bit more detail in there. And I'm currently working on my annual report that should be finished this week. There's no questions or comments?
Yeah, just a question on the Ngāti Rehia mana whakahonua review.
Yes.
So that's the one that we're going to do after the 6 months is done now. Can you just give a bit of an insight into that, please, Chair?
Sorry, what's the question?
The review of the mana whakahonua rohe of Ngāti Rehia. Is that now complete, and can you just give an insight as to what the review entails, and is there going to be any changes made to the mana whakahonua rohe? Is it going to be carrying on and it was just more progress?
So it's not complete. There's me meeting with the chair of the hapu, you know, there's going to be a requirement like this. I haven't been a part of a mana whakahonua process, and I'm assuming that this council's never reviewed a mana whakahonua process either.
No, we haven't.
So these are high level, when I go out on my own and meet with chairs and that, we don't rewrite, you know, agreements and then sign it all off without everybody else.
Yeah.
There's a process. So they'll have their technicians come in, probably work with our technicians and look at what the gaps are, because they've identified some gaps. You know, they want to be more involved, and they have raised issues I think during the TMAC meetings as well, that those who have mana whakahonua agreements with us do not feel like they're being met, you know, and so we need improvements, and whether that's around improving the way that we communicate with them, that we, you know, we commit to a certain level of meetings or whatever. We look at some of the activities that they want to be involved in. Ngāti Rehia are very interested in, you know, biodiversity management. They have their Kauri sanctuary there. They're big on pest control. They have high capacity. They're doing trades education. based at North Tech, also, you know, into environmental areas too, which we could, you know, tow talk all them at, and marine protected areas is a big thing for them at the moment. So those are just some of the topics that we discussed. And then it needs to become a more of a wider conversation.
Yes, indeed.
Here. With Patuhara Kiki too, we need to review this as well.
Yeah, no, it's something we've been intending to do for some time, so it's good that it's underway. Kia ora.
I've got a question, Madam Chair. The process for other hapu being involved, will that float up through to TMAC, or can that just be direct to council, or? Direct, thank you. Yep.
Yeah, so currently, yeah, we do also have requests from Te Uri o Hau and Ngāti Hine, and there has been a Te Kaha o Taonui one come through as well, being facilitated via Te Runangaiu o Ngāpuhi. So I just was quite mindful that we're 1 year in and we have, you know, around at least 20 formal type relationships with iwi and hapu around the north, and we hadn't seen all of them. And so while I was in the bar, I went over and saw Ātiri here, and yeah, I'll continue to do that around the place so that, yeah, we can focus on those. Any other questions about the report? All right, we'll go ahead with that one. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? That's carried, thank you. Next is 8.3, our CE report. And we have a mover and a seconder. John? I'll second. Questions? Yes, you can speak first.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, you'll notice this report's a little bit different. Thanks to Louisa and the team who have gone through and done a bit of a review of our report. It was getting to about 45 odd pages, just trying to make sure that we really focused it in on the key things for governance, making sure that there was no repetition from previous months' reporting. Also trying to make sure that there's no repetition of reporting across different groups, you know, when multiple groups are involved in the same sorts of things. So happy to receive feedback, just trying to make sure that, you know, like our reports, our whole agenda is really long. 45 pages of just a CEO's report is quite long as well. So just trying to really consolidate it to the key things that we think we need to highlight to governance. So happy to receive feedback. If I can just touch on, we've got the highlight section there at the front. I just wanted to just quickly just touch on those 3 highlight points. Firstly, is the regulatory enforcement activity that our compliance team have been undertaking. Just want to acknowledge that the compliance team, it's a tough space for staff to be working in when it comes to compliance. And compliance is a critical part of the overall picture, you know, like it's all very well, we're just going through freshwater plan change rules and policies changes, but unless the council actually follows through around the other end of making sure that people are complying with the rules, then it's only as good as the paper it's written on. So just wanting to acknowledge the hard work, and a lot of work goes into actually following up and doing compliance, and it's a bit of a thankless task at times. Next one, just wanted to highlight freshwater gold clam, obviously in Waikato, obviously Jeff and the Biosecurity and Biodiversity Working Party are really focused on that, and we're going to be bringing some further korero to council for a discussion around what proactive activities we may wish to undertake as a council leading into summer, given the threat that it poses our region. And last one, just to acknowledge again Louisa and her team for the funding that the region recently received from the local government funding resilience co-funding source. A lot of work goes in there across not just our council but the other councils and tangata whenua as well, and it's really pleasing to see some of the funding that comes into the region as a result of all that hard mahi. Happy to take any questions, Chair.
Yes. Who's heading over to the 28th of October meeting with Te Roroa? Is any of us going, or is that the staff only? It's just, yeah, in the thing. Are you going, Jack?
Sorry, no. I'm just waiting to put my hand up.
To go? Oh, sorry.
No.
If you want to talk, you can put your hand up on the raise your hand on the Teams too, by the way. Usually there is a lot of interest in the CEO report, but I do know we do have a good pace at the moment. So if you want to go, Jack, go ahead.
I just wondered why there's no mention of Calipa in the marine report. I did ask for it at the agenda preview.
It's there somewhere.
Where?
I don't know. I saw it somewhere.
There is a report.
Can I put it, I'm not,
Isn't it?
Just above the Sabella surveillance in the report, biosecurity,
Biosecurity.
page 443.
You want to give a little brief?
Have I got an ancient copy or something?
You're talking on this compass.
Yeah. You want to, you'd like to give it a brief on the team process? Yeah. That's the councillors.
Mute.
Yes.
You okay with it?
Yeah, I can do, yes. So the tenders, that process has been finalised. We've confirmed successful tenderer and a technique which will be a novel technique, but one that the team believes we can upscale to remove Kalupa at a much greater rate than the techniques used in the aotea or the barrier. And this technique, rather than divers in the water, will use a mechanical arm with a rotating head on the end of the arm that can draw up the Kalupa and reduce the amount of fragments in the water as it sort of mows the surface, mows the subsurface. So preparations for that are beginning this week and next, and we hope to have that operational within 2 weeks with the contract.
Thanks, Don. I see.
Madam Chair, I opened the copy on Big Tin Can that was open at 9 o'clock this morning. I see the one that we're working on now is the one that came in subsequent to that. So,
yeah. So is your hand down now, Jack?
That is now.
Okay, thank you. John. Rick, take the thing.
I tried. John's put his hand up for me.
No, I want to.
We'll get there.
You're going first.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
So I was just looking at the sewage plants as they came up last week, and you got these, 4 colours: green, yellow, orange, and red. And then when I look at the one we talked about this week, which we shouldn't talk about here probably, it looks quite good. So when you see a lot of orange, yellow, no, orange. Is it our ambition to try and eradicate those or get them down to a more manageable level? And how would you go about it? Because when I look at what we talked about with Joe the other day, actually that township doesn't look too bad. There's no red, there's a lot of orange. So I'm asking the question, should we be alarmed when we see not just red, but lots of orange?
You want to answer that, Jono or Colin?
Well, our goal should be to work with the councils to be able to get it to full compliance. The significance of the moderate non-compliance is what you're talking about for orange, and in that specific case, I'll let Colin respond to, as he'll know it a lot more than I do.
Yeah, sure. So, Jonathan's correct in that, we should be trying to strive for 100% compliance. Realistically, there will be times where there is non-compliance. Again, the moderate non-compliance, if it's ongoing, then that should be looked at more closely, because some of the moderate non-compliance may be a one-off and addressed straight away, but if it's an ongoing one, then that's certainly something that should be looked at and addressed. So it is about case-by-case basis and working with the council and seeing if they're taking appropriate action if they haven't already to address that.
I think my point is more the fact that, we're here to try and improve our environment. We're doing a lot of things with fresh water, E. coli and all that, and yet we're not making much progress on what I see here. And I just wonder whether we could maybe take this offline, but is there some way we can improve that with councils? Thank you.
Yes, I think that's a good suggestion. Along that same line, Joe?
Yeah, it's been going on for a pretty long time, and I dare say if it was a dairy farm dairy effluent, to be red and you guys be really ripping into it. And there's relativity of human wastewater plant effluent and effluent from dairy farm being pathogenic to humans is well, there's lots of science there saying the human stuff's what we're worried about. But I wonder whether we've got to think of a different way around this, you know, and you know, we had a toxic site with a whole lot of stored toxic chemicals, and NRC stepped into that space and cleaned the site up and sent them a bill. And I think it'd be a good idea that we actually looked at, say, Kaikohe and said, we're going to step into that space and give you a fair notice. You're going to sort it out. It's gone on for years, and we're consulting and doing this, we're doing that. It's just procrastination, and we should consider using our balance sheet and saying that we're going to charge you interest rate appropriate, and we'll step into that space, because it's just a lack of leadership up there that's not happening. Like, you know, this has gone on. I was on that council in 1998. It was a disgrace. I renewed the consents in early 2002. I went through this the other day, 2003, and it's just because it's on the west, let's not worry about it. And that's simply what it is. So I'd like to work with council out of this meeting and just see if we can actually think of a way that we can make something good happen up there.
Thanks, Jade. I think that's a great suggestion, Jono. Maybe we could, after this meeting, think about how we can pull that together and lean in on this kaupapa, Jono.
Good, yeah. Two quick things I could just touch on if I can. One, we've started sending letters to all district councils on a 6-monthly basis, and our next one will be going out by the end of this week, Colin.
Whereabouts, yeah.
Very close to the end of this week, which goes into the next level of detail around compliance, our expectations. So we've actually got a steps agreed with the district councils as to what their steps are to get compliance.
So that's an action sheet through your chair. That's an action sheet, and you've had a response on all matters.
No, so the first letter went out in February and we had a response from district councils. Yep. Colin also met with his counterparts at the district council, and we're due to send out our next one by the end of this week.
Yep.
And I'll provide a copy to all councillors of what that correspondence is. Just noting the point that we just discussed there around counselling, we did workshop that with council last week. Council didn't support going through and leaning in, as Councillor Carr there has articulated there, but very happy to have a second workshop with council if council would like to, around NRC leaning in more to provide whatever further leadership council chooses to provide. We'll just put that on another council workshop, but just noting we did workshop it last week.
Oh, it's a little bit different, I think, what we're talking about.
If I may add to it, don't give me credit for thinking of this idea. Chairman Shepherd of North Regional Council actually presented to an annual plan process to the Far North District Council, making that general suggestion. And even then they couldn't even get movement. So I think, you know, this council's tried to lend its balance sheet to the Far North District Council on matters such as this. And I think we've just got to be determined to make something happen. It's just going to go on and on. Yeah.
And acknowledging what this current council has inherited, and also acknowledging under the new political climate that the water services entity is likely to be out. And we don't know what the answer for district councils are in terms of their support. So it is a good time for us to lean in politically, at a political level perhaps. I already have a few conversations with Mokau Kelly and a few of the councillors there who are looking for land for Kaikohe and the like, but because we do have a passionate council, it'd be good if we could lean in. So support that. Please follow that up, Jono.
Happy to.
Okay, so if we're done on that.
On the action sheet.
And can that please be recorded on the action sheet? If we're done with that one, that topic, that's right. So I'm allowing speakers on this topic, and then I'll go to the list online. So if we're still on this topic, yes, Stuart, thank you.
Kia ora, Chair. Just putting my audit and risk member hat on, and I'm thinking in terms of looking forward enterprise risk. For me, when I look at that and I try to sort of make some sense of it, I'm looking for trend, and what I make a suggestion that we've got all the data, but if we look back on an annual, this is done every month, we see these pie charts. I have no idea whether they're changing, and if they're changing in the right direction. Certainly like to know that the reds are going down, the oranges are going down, the yellow and the green are proportionately increasing in context with that trend, where it gives us the ability to sort of ask of management, a little bit more, why is this trend not looking good? If that was something that was able to easily be done, it would be really helpful.
Response, Jono?
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
We'll have a look, and it may just be a little bit off how long it takes us to get our data and analysts to be able to work that up. But I think trend analysis there would be useful, yes.
Great, thanks, Stuart. Any others on this topic? Otherwise, I'll go back to our online list. Marty.
You're just morphing out of that. Yeah, I really thank Joe for bringing that to light, and that it should be elevated, in my opinion. Freshwater gold clam response. Can I ask what's happening in the top of the north space so that our interaction with Waikato is, I would hope that they've got signage up at every boat entry and exit point into the river for all boats going jet skis and whatever, to try and address that issue. I don't know how much it's migrating through the Waikato, if it's just in a hotspot, and just being very mindful of Kalupa and how quickly that travelled. How quickly is this going to travel? If we've got some idea of that, I'd really appreciate hearing it.
So you're discussing that, just for clarification, the opportunity via the Upper North Island Strategic Alliance for us moving through this, the golden clam issue. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Don.
There hasn't been yet a discussion at the UNISAR level about this issue in that collaborative sense. However, bring to Council's attention that this currently is still an MPI-led response. So their actions to erect signposts and notifications, it's in those areas, but we haven't got a regional-led response, a coordinated response, as you kind of suggest yet. So and in this afternoon's workshop, it is something for councils to consider what next steps could be for this region.
Thanks for that response, and just in response to that, the fact that it's an MPI-led response doesn't preclude us from communicating with the top of the north, both in that, and we do it with Fanworm. I guess we're doing it in Kalupa, and I'd like it brought right to the fore, so that this doesn't get a chance to get out of the bottle. Thanks.
Bye. Yeah, we can have further discussions on that. Certainly when we hosted the Waikato Regional Council recently, they see this and biosecurity in general, Cody dieback, and that as something that we could bring to the Upper North Island Strategic Alliance, and we actually do have a meeting coming up soon for that. So yeah, we look forward to linking those. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, next we have Rick.
Right, finally worked it out, Chair, without the thing picking on. Look, I just want to say on the marine protected areas, top of page, I think it's 444, that it's really looking forward to the signage, really looking forward to getting out there and getting some feedback on what people think of them. So it's been a long process, so I do appreciate, I think Ben was leading that, wasn't he? Ben Lee in the beginning. I can't remember, it was a long time ago, but it's happened, so well done on that. And secondly, I just want to thank Louisa and the team. Great job on getting that money, 4.2, and so please pass that on. It's awesome. I love being back on civil defence. I thank Jack for doing it up till now, but it's great to be back. And I do, and in terms of Cyclone Gabrielle, we only got one meeting left, Louisa, haven't we? Just one catch-up meeting. So hopefully it's all ticked off for the end of the year, hopefully. So another 7:30 AM meeting on a Friday is just really something to look forward to. Cyclone Gabrielle kicked, little sting in its tail. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. I do want to mention that in terms of the marine protected areas and the Rahui Tapu out, Mimi Whangata, the hapu went out on the water over the weekend. It was a bit rough on, I think, Saturday, but the Sunday they did run into boaties, of which did not know, and they did mention it to them, as a test, and they all thought it was a great idea. So it's got feedback so far, yeah.
Good.
There'll be a mix, so yeah.
No more spearfishing.
There'll be future topic, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I was down there on the weekend as well, but I just mentioned to Don, I think really need to get some signage up where the boundaries are. There's still a lot of confusion. It's, is it that bay? Is it that bay?
Yeah.
It's got to be. Don and I have just talked about, Kapiti Island is a good system. We just got to get agreement on what we can do, and it goes out to the 100-metre mark. And it's supposed to be on GBS, Navionics, but a lot of people I deal with don't have that sort of stuff. They're, tinnies and launch off the beach and away we go, They don't really read. I did a trial myself, went to the Waitangi boat ramp, didn't really look at the board, and I actually thought about afterwards, I don't even know whether the signage was there. So that's an example that, on a board doesn't really help. You're worried about not backing into somebody else and getting the boat in the water and get going. So that sort of stuff, it's just keeping it going. And yeah, hopefully we can get some support on the water, because it's really just education, really, not the stick. So
good.
I don't know whether we got to with the biodiversity recording of the area. How's that going? We're going to measure what its current state is. Did that ever get progressed?
Yeah. Yes, there's been biodiversity monitoring at Mihi, I think, in the early 70s. So there's a good history of monitoring of the marine environment and degradation that has happened. Hapu also have visions of what that monitoring could look like for the future, so we're excited by that opportunity, and they wish to co-create a plan for future monitoring, so we can assess that time-honoured question of, are we winning?
And you'll be following up on the signage and the other things that Jeff had.
Yes, we will. That's in development.
Lovely. Thank you. Yes, let's keep close about this one. It's a bit of a change for our people out there and to support that change. Thank you. Next we have Jack.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just before I ask my question, I'd just like to thank Don and the staff for responding very well to that staff media item, which was very biased. I mean, we had one yachty from Whangarei who said his lifestyle had been ruined because he couldn't fish when he sailed from here to the Bay of Islands and couldn't fish right there where he put his anchor down. I just thought that was quite selfish, but I really liked the response from Don that said we'd like to stress the positive here rather than the negative. But yes, it just indicated the job in front of us is not going to be easy, because it's very easy for the negative people to get some traction. So we have to keep stressing the positive, because we all know that I'd say 95% of the population will support this. Anyway, my little question, just two little questions about the Aotearoa Mauriua flood mitigation spillway and Pokapū Bridge. Just any comments from the chair or any other councillor that attended the blessing? How did it go? Because I know there's been a bit of delicate political footwork and community work to get this where we're at. And secondly, is there still going to be a formal opening?
It was beautiful. Jeff was there, I was there, Marty was there. We gave apologies for Joe, of course, having done so much work in the catchment. It was really, I thought it was beautiful. I felt like the community felt a real, like, you know, they had been valued and you know, where we got into. Definitely big thanks to the staff, Louisa and everybody that was there. Our land management staff have been, you know, on the ground a lot as well. We're very happy with the day. And Far North District Council, their appreciation for the regional council leaning in on the bridge, because usually that's not our core business in the Lions, but us being there helps them to get leverage. And I think, you know, that's probably the way that we will think about solving other problems that aren't our core business, but we can help to alleviate. So yeah, that was a little bit last minute notification. I thought it was an afternoon thing until like the day before, and then we found out it was the middle of the night instead. but we got through, yes. So aroha mai, if all the councillors didn't know about it. Jono, did anyone want to add to that?
Yeah, I thought the blessing went really well. Certainly members of the community came up to me and said how empowered they felt through the whole process. So it was enjoyable, and I think it was also a lovely recognition for the staff that have been so committed to getting that project completed, for them to be able to come and enjoy that time as well. In answer to Councillor Crawl's second question around formal opening, yes, there is an intention. Once we have a confirmed government, we'll then go through the process to identify and work with the local community to find times that fit for them as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Hopefully we see the horse and cart again. Yes. That was neat. Yeah.
Yeah, half the village was there, Jack.
Yeah, we have got a meeting next week.
Oh, is that a river meeting or? Yeah.
So I'll be able to update.
Thank you for that reminder too, Jeff. Yeah, next meeting coming up next week. All right. Okay. It seems like no more questions or comments on Jono's report, but yeah, again, big thanks from all of the councillors with all the huge amount of work that is going on. So, in saying that, that was John moved, I seconded. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, that's carried. Next on to the receipt of committee minutes.
I'll move.
Joe moves.
Maku e tautoko, happy to second. Kia ora, Peter Lucas here.
Peter Lucas. Any discussion? It's all straightforward. He's going forward. All in favour say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Against, that's carried. Thank you. Now we're going to move into business with the public excluded. Rick is going to move that. Marty will second. All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, that's carried. We don't have any comment in here. Yes.
Sure, Chair. Gavin, just if I could just ask for some advice, if I can, Chair. I just noticed resolution 3, we've got that the independent financial advisor advisors be permitted to stay during business with the public excluded. Are we taking this to include all of our advisors?
Through the chair, yes, everyone has signed their type of confidentiality.
Maybe we just get rid of financial and we just go independent advisors from now on, just so we're clear that everybody that's there.
You was that again, sorry?
Resolution 3.
Happy to move that amendment so that all our advisors can attend in their professional capacity and provide us with necessary advice as needed.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks,
John.
In a second, yep.
What's that?
With that, we now move.
Oh, well, yeah, let's just wait for Gavin to take us offline. Take us off from streaming, yeah.
Very good.